Welcome to episode 4 of the Nick and Vivi podcast. We're excited to talk about financial compatibilities. And this is the second part of the topics to consider when dating. So like, subscribe, and let's get into it. So we're in a different place today.
We're in a cabin.
In a cabin.
In the mountains. In Bryson City.
North Carolina.
In North Carolina, yeah.
And it's Memorial Day weekend.
It is Memorial Day weekend. We've been hiking. We went and saw the trains. Actually, train went right by our cabin.
Yeah.
We've played tabletop games. Did some reading, cooking. We did we're just having a weekend of
napped.
it. So, we napped. Yep. Good sleep.
We napped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a nice little change of routine and a way to relax and recharge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with.
So technically, this is a podcast on the road. Our fourth one is on the road. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to make sure it happens, even though we're, traveling.
Out and about.
Yeah. So even more exciting for episode 4. All right. So,
Icebreaker time?
Icebreaker time.
I tried to be excited. It went right out as quickly as it came in. So let's
not call it an icebreaker. Let's just call it like a starter, a conversation starter.
An appetizer.
Yeah. I don't know how full you'll get after the appetizer, or how you're not supposed to get full.
No, you're not. No. It's supposed to start you off so that you're ready for dinner. That's what it is.
So I think a conversation starter sounds better.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is, one of the things that's actually a great way to practice, something great to practice in relationships with partners. And so I figured, let's start showing that, because we actually do this quite often. We've learned. And so the question for today is, share one thing you've appreciated from me during this trip.
Okay, there's plenty of things. But if I had to pick one that happened the most recently, is the fact that you decided that you would play a kind of complicated tabletop board game with me that we kind of been pushing off because it's 14 pages worth of instruction. And not only did you agree to play with me, you kept playing with me until I was able to win, which took 3 different rounds in order for me to win.
Which I didn't actually let you win. I didn't even notice that you were winning on the third one.
When you win 2 back to back and then all of a sudden I get one, it feels like, you kind of let off the gas on that one. The second one, you kind of toyed with me instead of just closing it out. But it was, I appreciated that.
You're welcome. Oh, yeah. This is the game.
Fantastic game. Very fun. Especially if you can't play the whole Catan game because you only have a few people. 2 people, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. That was a gift for my birthday, because I wanted more games where it was just like 2 players, and so that we wouldn't have to have friends over, and it was just like a game you and I could play.
That's right. I bought the game for you for your birthday, and you couldn't even let me win the first round.
No, it was so long
ago. You beat
ago.
the pants off me too.
But okay. So
and what is?
You're welcome.
Thank you. What is yours? What is something you appreciate that I've done?
So I've actually appreciated us being here. I know I know it's sweet, but I appreciate the fact that we're here because of you. I told you that I was overwhelmed with school and work and all the things, and I really just wanted to get away or do something, have a staycation, and I was just ready to just relax and recharge, and you surprised me and said we're going, and so I appreciate you doing that for me.
You're welcome. I mean, it's also for me too. So, but you're welcome. Absolutely.
So this one's a two-part because we're here in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the highlight of this trip so far?
You can't throw that on the end there.
Why not?
Okay, it has to be the hiking.
The hiking.
Yeah, in the Smoky Mountain National Park. Got it.
Yeah, which we learned that it actually covers 2 states,
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee and North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And there are multiple entrances to the place.
One that's like 3 miles away, and then one we decided to go about a 20-minute, 30-minute ride because that's the one I wanted. Actually turned out better, I think. I do think so. We only found out about the second entrance today when we wandered into the visitor center for Bryson City. So, yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's a
so
good
the
time.
hike. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. That was fun. We were like, oh, we're going to hike about like a mile, mile and a half. And we ended up hiking like 3 miles or something like that on their, kind of like their introductory hike, down the river. I enjoyed that a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yours?
I have to agree with you. That one was it for
What's
me
up?
too. Because we don't normally hike.
It's something we've always wanted to like get into. So
Yeah, but it was nice. I like, it was so peaceful listening to like the river by you. And the highlight of that was that we got to see an elk.
oh, we did get to see an elk.
And it was beautiful.
Stay tuned for the vlog. We've got video of the elk. You'll see it. Don't worry.
Yeah, like that part by itself was just beautiful to have seen. And it was like in the wild, like an elk just minding its own business, eating, and we were in its kind of territory.
They are huge.
Yeah. So that was the highlight for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So financial compatibility.
Oh, let's get into it. All right. Again, not first date material, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe not even the first couple of dates. This one's a little bit more intense than others. But it's just as important.
Yeah.
Still topics to consider while dating, not topics to consider when you start dating, right? Like this is somewhere else in there as like a PSA,
But I will say some people might get into the topic of finances like early on because typically it's the male who will pay for, dates. And you and I, when we started dating, we actually we would kind of would take turns to pay. So it might come up earlier on. We just kind of said, I just kind of offered and said, can I pay for the second one? And we decided that we would kind of take turns. And there were some that you were like, no, I want to pay for this one. So I let you pay for it. But it was always like, a mutual thing where we each took turns to pay for. And that might be something to consider as well, as you're getting into the dating scene or dating someone, is to, what are their expectations? Is there a stereotype or whatever it is for when you start dating them? Yeah. So financial compatibility, you came up with 3 kind of different things. And this is individual financial situations, attitudes towards money,
right,
and long-term financial goals.
Yeah.
Okay. So individual financial situations. You talked about this one really more like about debt, right?
Yeah, again, why it's not like a first 3 date type thing, but as you're dating somebody, you do kind of want to know their overall status when it comes to money and finances, right? So if somebody's carrying around $100,000 in debt, wouldn't you like to know? I mean, I would like to know. So you want to understand the whole thing. Whether or not it makes a difference to you, you're still taking that on if you decide that you want to get engaged and maybe get married or something like that, or go farther in the relationship. Nobody wants to find that out after the fact, and it's not fair. And I think a lot of people, when they date, they don't think to take that into consideration, and then they find out later. And once you marry somebody, you're legally bound to that as well, and that's rough. And I'm not talking like student loans. A lot of people have student loans, but credit card debt, car debt, whatever, like these things need to come up, and everybody needs to be on the same page for them.
Yeah. But it might be student loans.
No, I know, but I'm
because-
just saying student loans can sometimes be understood that they're, you want to know, but it's not, to me, student loans is not bad debt, right? Like a mortgage would be considered to me bad debt. Because those are going to be really high. Like, I mean, depending on where you went to school and what house you bought, those can be really high. And so being $100,000 in mortgage debt doesn't quite translate to $100K in credit card debt, right? To me, that's bad debt.
Yeah.
Or you have $100,000 car, right? You want to know, that type of thing. Not to say that, one debt's better or worse than the other, but it is kind of good debt versus bad, assets that depreciate and whatnot.
Okay. But yeah,
so that would be your individual status as a person. Somebody would want to know that, I think.
Yeah, individual financial situations, and not even this kind of debt as well, because the person might not have any debts either,
right.
And but they're supporting family members, or there's something that they do specifically. So like trying to see what financial either limitations or what financial commitments they already have before going in. Because if you don't talk about them before, like you said, once you're getting married or you're already married and you start looking to like buy a house together, then you bring up, oh, well, I have this much in debt. And that's going to be like, what? Why didn't you tell me this before? We have been dating for blah, and we can't get our own place together. And you don't want that to, be one of the reasons that the relationship is deteriorated so far along. Might as well find out earlier when you can. So having like a subtle conversation about individual financial situations.
I think some would find it embarrassing maybe. And so they kind of, I think some would hide. I mean, you've heard stories. I've read stories that people, kind of concealed some of theirs until, it was too late. Like it became too big. And then at that point it's too late. So that's not fair to anybody. And just come clean about, that type of stuff. Or like you said, if you're taking care of a family member, something like that, where your budget is stretched thin, because of other obligations, right? Whether it be to family or friends or whoever, that needs to be discussed as well, because it could be just, hey, this is what I have to do. This is what I've chosen to do. And this is what I'm going to keep doing. Right.
Yeah.
And some people will be fine with that, but some won't. So it needs to be, a conversation on that one. It may not just be debt. It may just be financial supporting of somebody else, right? Or something like that. Or I donate half my income to some charity that I really, that's what I'm going to do, right? Like, okay, I need to know these things. So,
Yeah, that's true. And, it might be that the person is also doesn't have any financial limitations, and so they're dating someone who does. And like, what is that dynamic? What does that look like? You don't, I think I mentioned to you one time where, like I was struggling financially, and then someone asked to pay something because they knew I was struggling, like, and I think honesty, talking about it openly is the key. Like you said, sharing those different situations and just being open. In any relationship, right? You have to be honest and open. And sometimes it may cost you to be vulnerable, but if you can't be vulnerable with someone you're dating, then there's really no trust. You only become vulnerable with someone that you actually trust.
That's true.
Yeah. And
100%.
so, I mean, being able to share that and accept the help, it might be something that you need to work on yourself. If you're not okay with accepting help financially from someone who has no financial limitations, then that might not be, or it may also be something that you've got to work on yourself and figure out. But because they may not be doing it to make you feel less or to make you feel inferior to them, but they really just want to see if they can help out.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So next one is attitudes towards money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So more like, I thought about that more like saver versus spender. What did you think about?
I think of it as general attitude. So is money, if I give you $5, does that allow you $5 worth of fun? Right? Is this something like, if you have all your bills to pay, is $5 now up for grabs? Or to you, is money a tool? Right? I use this to invest. I use this to, put towards something that I'm building up, right? Or is money more of a means to an end? If I can gather as much as I possibly can, I can retire and not have to worry about money anymore, right? So it's like money now, it keeps me from having to worry about it later. To me, that's a means to an end.
Okay.
And a tool is something that you would use to build something, right? And then money that you just burn it up because it's extra. I've done all my obligations. I've paid my bills. Everything's paid for. But now it's time for me, right? And you just burn it up until you get paid the next time. None of those attitudes are wrong, right? But some people that are a means to an end may not appreciate the burn it up now, right? Or the live in the present. I'm going to, that type of thing.
YOLO.
The YOLO, yes. And then some that are living the YOLO may not really understand or even want to understand somebody who's trying to use it as a tool for something else, right? Some people just work and they use their money for things. You work a job that maybe you don't like, but it gives you the money to do the things you do like, right? That's it could be considered a burn it up type of scenario. Yeah. If you're also not trying to, and you could be a mix. You can do it. But to me, that's like your attitude towards what money is and how do I want to use it is kind of important, because you may have some clashes.
Yeah. I will say here, though, it's also, attitudes towards money. It also may be something that whichever person may be a big spender, it could also be an opportunity to learn. Not knowing, family dynamics, family situations. If you've had to survive, had to learn how to survive the whole time, then you don't really have the mentality of means to an end or use it as a tool, because you've had to live, paycheck to paycheck. And it's like, all right, I've got to pay this, I've got to pay that. And they don't even have that other amount, right? To be able to use for fun. Yeah. So I would say too, take that into perspective, because we don't know everybody's traumas. We don't know everyone's life and what they've been through to judge them so quickly as well on their attitudes towards money. I mean, they never had someone that talked about the importance of saving for retirement.
Agreed.
And so that may be an opportunity that you both could, learn about together, or maybe you ask the person, can I share with you what, saving for retirement looks like, or can I share with you? But always ask for permission. You don't want to be the one that's like, why are you spending all this money?
Agreed, 100%. Yeah.
Because at that point, you're judging them pretty bad. And it should be, in any relationship, a way to work together or work to help the other person feel successful and be successful on their own by helping them with some tools. So,
and your attitude towards money, right, doesn't mean that, all right, if you have a means to an end type attitude, but you don't make enough to make that happen, right? Doesn't mean that you have, you're not doing it. You still would like to. If you made more, that's how you would do with it. That's what you would want to do with it. So, the attitude doesn't have to be reflected in whether or not you can or can't, right? Because you're right. If all your money goes out to all these different things that you really don't have a whole lot of control over, you would like to be in this situation to be able to do these things. That's your attitude. That's what I want to do. I just can't right now.
Yeah.
that's a different story. That's still, you have the mindset of wanting to do something like that, or, and it goes back to don't expect anybody to change either. Like maybe this is the way they are, and they maybe just be wary. They may or may not. Don't expect it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
like you can have the attitude towards it even if you don't have the means yet to be able to do that. So at least get you on the same page, together.
And it might be a challenge for someone, and the best you can do is just kind of help them, whether it's seeking help, to whether it's talking to a therapist if they have a gambling problem. I know there's actually like a lot of help for that as well. So it's helping the person, because a lot of that comes from, again, traumas, right? And things that we saw or that we haven't processed ourselves and been able to heal and learn. And so it may just be that too, that when we talk about change specifically, because money is a big challenge and a big issue that most marriages, and because some financial situation, something happened around finances. And so, you want to just kind of keep in mind that, we may not be on the same page on the attitudes towards it, but can we be? And how can we help each other be in that, on that same boat?
And you're right. Like financial literacy in this country, they don't teach you anything in school. They really don't. And a lot of people don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know. So you may have the attitude and never know it existed, right? So maybe you're open to learn, like, oh my God, yes, absolutely, would love to be able to do that or do this or whatever. Yeah.
The third one we talked about was long-term financial goals. So more like, how early do you want to retire? Right? No, that I'm asking you. How early do you want to retire?
Oh, we ain't retiring early. I'll be honest with you.
If you could choose.
If I could choose.
How early would 55. You want to retire? 55.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would give us enough.
That's not too.
You gonna say it's not too far off? Is that what you're about to say? How old do I look?
No, it's not that you look. It is. It is you're about to turn. You're about to be in your mid-30s. So it just doesn't seem that far away. And it's not just you, obviously. It's like, man, like 55 sounds actually really good. I'm not saying that you look older. So no. And even if you did, so what?
Not that far off.
Oh my gosh. Compared to retiring at, what is the age here? 64?
64 or 65, something like that.
Okay. That's what I mean. Like, I didn't think you were going to take like 10 years.
I mean, you asked me what I would like.
I did.
Not that whether or not it would happen in this country right now.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard. I know. I think every year that we can work would actually make it easier in the long run. So it'd actually be in our best interest to just, unless we end up picking up a bunch of pieces of real estate or something like that. If I had a choice,
55.
I think 55 would be an awesome age to do it. It's not that far off. So
keep working towards it.
But go ahead.
So for me, I think 60 sounds about right. But being like honest, I don't know that I'll ever retire.
Oh yeah, you'll do something somewhere. Yeah.
I'll retire from my full-time position, but I think I would still find like a part-time, not because at this point it would be my choice to actually like go to work and work the times that I want to, and into like a part-time role somewhere, or maybe not even that, but I would definitely like stay busy, serving on boards or doing some like consulting work that it's more on like my terms. But I think officially like 60 sounds about right. Sure. We just like work so much, and so going back, long-term financial goals. So you want to retire at 55. I want to
I
retire
would
at
love
60.
to, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And that may not be a reality, right? We're dreaming here. But having that conversation, well, how are you planning to retire
do
at
that,
55? So, just like I asked you right now, I think that's a great way to ask. Like, if you could retire at any point and then be like, okay, so are you working towards that?
Yeah. But I mean, you might have some people that are like, my long-term financial goal, I want to, invest in property, right? That's where I want that's my safety net's going to be property. I just want to buy that property. Or some would be, I just want to save enough to be able to do whatever I want when I retire at, the normal retirement age. And some I want to retire early. Some people just might be like, I just want to buy my dream car, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, financial goals are just literally what's the end of the road look like for you, right?
Buying a house. Yeah.
So, or buying a house.
Yeah.
Which even our age seems like it's impossible at times. And just looking at it, just buying a house, we might rent forever, right?
Yeah.
A lot of us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually, that's not a terrible financial goal, is it?
No.
Buying a house. A house.
A house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a little depressing. A little bit.
And even, long-term financial goals, realizing that. So again, this goes back to what you've been exposed to about finances. So
Oh wait, let me back.
let me write this down before I forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is, okay, buying a house being an impossibility. All right, so it's not that you can't buy a house, right? Or maybe you don't have the money to buy a house. That's not the thing. You could figure it out and do it. It's just, it hurts so badly to see 15, 30 years at X amount of dollars when the house is not worth that, at an interest rate that's a little bit higher. Like, yeah, you could do it, but it hurts so bad. It just doesn't make financial sense that your house is going to it's going to cost you double.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could go buy a house. Absolutely. Let me take that back. It's not that we can't or anybody can't. It's, man,
There's so many
just
other
doesn't make financial sense sometimes when you do the numbers, it just hurts to look at.
And there are more expenses that go into buying a house.
Yeah.
We'll actually talk about that. We're gonna, I think that's when we'll have some of our friends join us that are homeowners to share about about what that's like, because you don't just buy a house. You're buying a house and everything else that comes with a house. So we'll get into that topic.
So it's not whether you can or can't. It's just, does it make sense? And are you okay with it? Like,
And are you financially stable to be able to do that too? Because it's not just a mortgage payment. There are also other things.
And not have like over half your income have to go towards it too.
Yeah.
So,
But
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, we'll be talking about housing, being a homeowner and all the complexities of that. I was going to mention, that not everyone, realizing that, financial situations and also just what opportunities someone might have in their employment. If you are a contractor, you are going to find your own ways to put money into retirement. And so maybe you haven't even done that. So your long-term goals are going to seem different. And so I think there's also other things to consider. Like if you are not employed, if you don't have an employer who offers benefits, then that puts you in a whole different bucket, really, of opportunities for long-term goals, long-term financial goals. And you're on your own to try and figure out what's best.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about that as well. Like what are some good opportunities to plan for retirement, or like what to do for saving money, which some of these things we've actually just learned about. But we found that they were pretty good. And other things that we've known about for a while, but maybe people don't know about them. And it's a great way to, make more money with the money that you already have, and also save for long term. But Yeah, so long-term financial goals. That's going to be important in conversations to have.
So yeah, so with financial topics while you're dating, I think we've covered like the real superficial stuff that you could do while you're dating early in the day, kind of help you, decide whether or not this person
Mm-hmm.
is, for you.
Yeah.
And definitely individual financial situations, their
Mm-hmm.
attitude towards it, and long-term goals. I think there's nothing wrong with those three
Mm-hmm.
being right up there with, do I like your hobbies or your interest? I mean, they're not terribly detailed,
Yeah.
and you can definitely get into the details later, but at least gives you some type of baseline to kind of figure out, or absolutely, So um, I
Yeah.
think that covers pretty good for part 2 on this one.
So be sure to watch the next episode. It's going to be about communication styles and expectations. And subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time.